Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Preston from Up in the Air. I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that if you do enjoy any content on this channel, please consider giving us a subscription. We would greatly appreciate it. Anyways, let's get into it. What is going on, guys? This is Preston.
This is Hunter.
This is Ethan.
And this is Season 2, Episode 3 of Up in the Air. Last week, we didn't really give an introduction into what we're talking about, but I feel that it is necessary for the man of the hour to give a small introduction into what he's going to be taking a deep dive down into today. So, Hunter, as usual, take it away.
Alrighty. So, usually, or at least the past several times, we've kind of gone down the current events path, and this kind of is slightly...
Boring, am I right? No.
Yeah. This is slightly current eventy because there's been some stuff coming up about it kind of recently, which has surprised me. But going to be talking a little bit about some history. We're going back a little bit.
Put your fucking thinking caps on.
Rewind back to the 1920s.
Well.
We're talking about some classic good guy gangsters, some mobsters.
Who's president in the 20s?
I'm trying to think.
George Washington?
Yeah, that sounds right. So George Washington was president in the 1920s.
You had me on that one.
And we're going to be talking about one particular man by the name of John Dillinger. I got inspired to do this because, I think it was maybe my sophomore or freshman year in high school. I think it was for like an English class. We had to do a book report, and I read a book on John Dillinger, and I got just really intrigued by him. And they made a movie back in 2008 about him called Public Enemies. It's a really good movie. Got Johnny Depp in it, Christian Bale, a couple other bigger names.
He's a cool guy, pretty swell guy.
Who? Christian Bale, Johnny Depp, or John Dillinger?
You could honestly say all three of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Didn't John Dillinger, he would give the people money out to the people or something?
People loved him.
Yeah.
People
he
really
was robbing
loved
the
him.
banks.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna give some history, just for people who don't know who he is, and then there's a bit of a conspiracy theory attached to him. We're gonna talk about a little. So, John Dillinger was a gangster in the late 20s and early 30s. He ran a gang, and they were, excuse me, they were very armed, and they were quite well organized as well. For what they were super well equipped. They used a whole bunch of different handguns, shotguns. They had access to Thompson submachine guns and Browning automatic rifles, and
this was hard to do.
Yeah,
get a hold of all this shit.
Yeah, most of that back then is all military equipment.
Well, that's the thing. You could buy Thompsons, civilians could, but they were expensive.
I was going to say, this is the 20s and 30s.
Are we talking, though?
Like, now I'm pulling this number out of my ass here because I have no clue, but if I had to guess, I would say if you, adjusted it to today's number, it'd probably be in, $20,000 or more dollars.
Holy shit.
Okay.
I mean, this is the 1920s.
So
These things are brand new, hot off the press.
That's paying $300 or $400 for a gun back then.
Yeah, so...
Yeah,
which is really expensive.
We're talking
I played Red Dead
upper
too.
echelon is the only type of people that can afford something like that.
I mean, usually, yeah, most police agents, a lot of police agencies
gangsta.
didn't even have them because they were fucking expensive.
These guys did.
Yeah, they did.
Pretty impressive.
Well, so they got them in two ways. One, they robbed banks so they could afford them.
Right.
But they also got them by raiding police arsenals. They would raid police stations and take their shit.
Yeah, that amazes me that you can rob a police station. That's one of those things where it's like, why even try it?
Yeah, so from these police stations, they got all these automatics. I didn't even know they existed, but apparently they did in some primitive form, but they also got bulletproof vests from these stations.
What the fuck was that made out of back then?
And then they also, in this time, which I thought was pretty cool, so they had, they used, at the time, was brand new, the V8 Ford. And it was a lot faster than anything the cops had. And they used it for that reason. One, it was really quick.
Wait, so this is the 1920s, right?
Yeah.
That is literally the same car that everyone soups up as a hot rod now. It's literally that exact same car. So anytime you see a hot rod, anytime you see a hot rod,
think John Dillinger.
Now you're gonna think John Dillinger.
Yeah.
Or Ben Affleck or Johnny Depp.
But yeah, they were quick, fastest car really around the time, at least for the commercial market for just what people were buying. They were 4-door, so they could fit a lot of people in them, and they had big running boards on the sides. So a lot of the times when they were rolling up to a bank, they'd stand on the sides, and they do the same when they left, so they could just hop on, hop off.
Yeah,
the
crazy part about back then was that
you need balls.
Well, with the cars specifically, the V8 Ford was only one version of that car. That same car came in like 8 different versions.
Oh yeah, this was the beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would use these big running boards, and a lot of times when they're leaving the banks, they would take people with them and have them stand on the running boards, so when they were driving off, cops wouldn't shoot at them, shit like that.
So that's where the SWAT learned it.
I mean, yeah, dude.
Wait, they
would ride on the side of a vehicle.
They'd stand on the side of the vehicle so they wouldn't shoot them?
Yeah, well, they would get on the side just so it was quick, but also so they had more room. So they'd have maybe a couple guys hop in the car, and the other 2 would stand on the outside with hostages.
With hostages. Yeah. I missed that. Okay. That makes sense. I was like, man, what the fuck? Ain't nothing stopping me if I see a couple boys who just robbed my national bank on the side of a car.
And this is pretty funny. So after using it a couple of times, John Dillinger actually wrote Henry Ford a note thanking him for building such a good car.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Thanks, boss.
I know. Yeah, I think in the note he the header is like, "Hey pal" or "Hey buddy" or something like that. So these guys, so a lot of the guys that John Dillinger ran with, they obviously spent some time in the clink. They did some time on the inside. And John Dillinger eventually met a guy named Herman Lamb, who was he was actually a German bank robber, and he was also a veteran of World War I, so he had military experience. I think that guy, Herman Lamb, had robbed 13 banks or something.
Every good mob's got some operators in it.
Yeah, dude. But John Dillinger's gang, they did very well. They were credited with robbing 24 banks, 4 police stations, and they were also responsible for 3 jailbreaks, 2 of which John Dillinger was breaking out. So he escaped from jail twice.
So he's the old El Chapo.
I think he's more badass than El Chapo, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can agree with that.
You get shot, you can go to any doctor now. This is 20s and 30s.
Mm-hmm.
People are still...
That's back when you had to have your own doctor.
Yeah, the mafia
When the fuck was it?
Yeah.
When did electricity become widely available?
I know it happened in the late 1800s.
I want to say 1880s, 90s?
Let's look this up. I'm wrong more often than I'm right.
That sounds right, though.
I fucked up so many words.
Yep,
1882. The Edison Electric Illuminating Company.
It probably wasn't like a nationalized thing at that point during the 1920s.
No,
40 years. 40 years is definitely not long enough to set up a nationwide structure of.
Well, no, it was mostly cities.
Wait, I'm just trying to put it into perspective. These boys were going around 24 banks. Is this in the same area? Because God bless the area they robbed from, dude.
I'm pretty sure they robbed banks all over, but I think they did a lot of their work in the Chicago area.
Man, no wonder we're in an economic decline. Give us back our
Isn't
money,
it crazy
John.
to think that we had a lot of the cool mobsters in Chicago?
Yeah.
Who do we have?
We had John Dillinger, we had Al Capone.
We were Capone?
Yeah, Capone was Chicago.
Hey.
So, I mean, fuck, the Thompson even got its nickname from Chicago, the Chicago typewriter.
Uh-huh.
I mean...
it's crazy to think, but people don't pay attention as much as they used to, but the mob and the mafia are still everywhere that they used to be. They're just a lot more...
We just don't talk about them.
Yeah, they're just a lot more low-key. They figured out how to be low-key.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go running around in your pinstripe suits anymore, making a fool of yourself on TV.
Oh, yeah.
So, after gaining a lot of notoriety from local police and federal government, he ended up getting the title of the government public enemy number 1.
Uh-huh.
And then even though he was called that, they said he was an enemy of the public. Everybody really actually fucking loved him, besides the government. And the name he got from the people was the Gentleman Bandit, and because there were reports of him fucking winking at women while he's robbing the bank, and I guess he was really nice to, fucking everybody. I think I read something that said most people that ever encountered him would have never thought he would actually kill anybody, and he never really actually did.
Ain't about killing. It's about getting his
I was
money.
about to say, it's not really his objective. It's pretty obvious, especially if people like him so much. Mm-hmm. It's not like the public cares about somebody who's, a known murderer.
Yeah.
This is back when banks were fucking people over left and right, though. Mm-hmm. Taking everyone's gold and...
Well, yeah, during the Depression.
Yeah, so...
They loved him.
Uh-huh.
For several years, law enforcement couldn't keep up with him.
No.
This was back in the day when law enforcement was not organized. The FBI was still a very new entity in the government. I I actually read that at this time, most people who were in the FBI were they had been like lawyers or something before, or they were sons of high-ranking politicians. They were, I think a lot of people, they said they're like fucking desk jockeys. They weren't experienced or anything.
It's still the Wild West.
Yeah.
States are doing what states can do. Towns are doing what they can do. Yeah.
And police forces were not organized. They were strictly local. They didn't communicate with the town over, really. It was just each town had their own police force, and that was that. Yeah, so...
They fucked themselves on it, really.
Dillinger could be robbing a bank fucking a mile that away, and no one would know.
That away.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, so I mentioned that he was caught twice. I already said that, but he escaped both times. One of the... this is the most famous of the two. It was in Crown Point, Indiana, where one of his escapes from jail. So if I have this correct, I believe he was arrested somewhere, and then he was sent to the jail in Indiana, waiting to be transferred to a different one. But the warden of the jail in Indiana wanted to keep him there because she swore that you could not get out of it. She up and down, she was like, can't get out.
Never
not
say that. Stallone got out of it. The Titanic sunk. Why do you put these predeterminations on this shit? It's only going to fail you in the end.
Yeah. So they held him there, and it was a small jail. But they end up keeping a whole bunch of deputies outside of this jailhouse the whole time he was there. What Mr. John Dillinger did was, while he was there, he took a piece of wood and he carved it into the form of a revolver, and he tricked the guards there with it so they would think it was real. And that's how he got out.
Confidence.
Yeah.
At its purest form right there.
Yeah. And I think, if I remember, so they shot and killed the sheriff there. Someone did, and then they took his car.
This is like the Ted Bundy shit, how he crawled up through the fucking ceiling and then got out through the front door.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I do remember, though, I don't know if you had this guy. It was like way back when I was in school. We had a cop come, we get the cops come and talk to the school and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he told a story how he had someone who was like breaking into the front of his house or something like that, and he didn't have his actual gun. It was in his car, and he held his walkie-talkie up in the dark, and they thought it was a gun.
If it's dark,
yeah.
You can believe it.
Also, they were probably fucking terrified of this guy.
Oh, probably.
The guards who were watching over him were did he just rob us last weekend?
Yeah, literally. At that point, are you really going to question whether or not that's real?
Yeah.
Like, if you know that this guy's a fucking hard ass, you really want to question that, or you just want to,
right?
Yeah,
live another day?
He literally does not like you, quote unquote, pigs, man.
So after kind of getting towards the end of his life here, he ended up being killed on July 22nd, 1934 by the FBI outside of a movie theater in Chicago. His girlfriend at the time had ended up making a deal with the FBI that she would set him up so they could get him in exchange that she would not be deported because she was a Romanian immigrant.
Wow, she only cared about herself.
Yeah. So, going back to what I said a little bit earlier about how most guys in the FBI, they were not experienced in any form. They weren't gunfighters or anything like that.
They're not a task force like they are now.
No. So at some point in the manhunt for him, they brought up some guys from the South who were very experienced, and I think they brought up 3 of them to help, and it was one of those guys that brought up that ended up shooting Dillinger. I think he shot him 3 times or something. I feel like there's something else I was going to say about those guys. I don't remember. I think they were from fucking Texas or something. So
hey, you want a job done? Hire a Texan, dude. Oh man.
The guy that was the head of all this was named Melvin Purvis, and he ties into this in the conspiracy a little bit as well. So he was the lead agent for the task force that was looking for Dillinger, and at the time he was pretty experienced. He had been doing it for a while, and he had killed several other super famous gangsters at the time. 2 of them being that were pretty big was Babyface Nelson and Pretty Boy Floyd. They always had some sort of twang to their name,
like bada bing, shasta boom. Yeah. It's rolling right off the face.
I loved it.
Babyface Nelson and Pretty Boy Floyd. That's talent right there. Having a good name like that.
And at the same time, he kind of rose to a celebrity-like status, also kind of like Dillinger, around the same time, because he was getting pretty famous for the job that he did. So
weird things you become famous for. He's going out killing gangsters.
Dude, back then it was
right?
oh, yeah.
And it was, what was it? I I was just watching something how like back then the political spread wasn't really like you don't hear. It was basically the news would be reporting on this and always this.
Yeah.
Because there was a very big shift when like newsprint got big and like talking print and radio got big, where it was like started to shift towards celebrities and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So you living back in the 20s and 30s, you're hearing about this dude. Like you're hearing about him up in Chicago. If you're living up there, running through the town, robbing bank to bank, police station to police station. Oh, what a time to be alive, dude. That would just be so amazing to go back to.
I know. And I tried. So I remember there was a moment from the movie that I was trying so hard to figure out if it was real or not. And I couldn't really find anything. So I don't think it was, which is really disappointing. Because if it was real, it would have been a really cool quote. So when Dillinger was on trial, and I think it was like right before he got sent to the jail in Indiana, there were pictures of him posing with, I think it was fucking his legal counsel or whatever, and then the sheriff of the jail that he was going to be staying in.
Yeah.
And it's like ridiculous because he's like posted up with them like they're friends almost. Mm-hmm. And he's fucking smiling and like he's eating it up.
Crazy dude.
And because there's this one moment in that scene where like, the press is there asking him questions. And they're like, how long does it take you to run through a bank? And he's like, oh, about 1:40. And I tried looking all over to see if there was any truth to it, but I wasn't able to find anything. So I have no idea if that's an actual quote by him or not.
That's pretty crazy, especially for back then, because you got to think 20s, 10s, 100s, not pretty typical. So you're picking up a lot of ones and things like that. Ones, $2 bills, fives.
During the 20s and 30s, they did have $1,000 bills. So I wonder if they ever found some $20,000 or $1,000 bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I doubt
just
it,
to
though.
put that in perspective, though, like they're carrying around a lot more cash, like a shitload of cash.
Yeah. And trying to remember that I think I saw a number in passing when I was looking earlier. For whatever reason, I didn't write it down though. But I think it said that they stole back then in their.
Oh, I love hearing these statistics.
In their money, I guess you would say. I want to figure out what the conversion would be. But they stole about $500,000.
Back then?
Yeah. So if you can do a quick little thing.
How many zeros have I typed so far? 4?
3.
3? Okay. Wait, I'm just going to do an inflation calculator. Hold on. You later.
I'm sweating a bit, boys.
I'm sweating as well. It's a little hot down in the podcasting studio. Oh, look at this little fancy website. Okay.
We'll do
1920.
Okay.
Right? We'll do 1925, right at the middle of his spread. To what?
Just now, 2019.
Today, 2019, yeah.
Okay. And it's
$500,000. It's
Yep.
Calculate.
Ooh, 7.3 million.
7.33 million bucks.
That's
now
that's a good number right there.
$7 million buy you a
buy you a Thompson.
At least we could at least buy you a full UITA Thompson. All the tax stamps required. You could probably go through all the classes and stuff you need to get there. You'd probably You could buy. You could probably buy just John Dillinger's fucking grave with him in it for $7.3 million.
Probably.
All right.
How do they? Oh man, such a shame that if you get caught, all your money's fucking gone. Especially as a mobster, unless you're like real slippery and dippery with your money and getting it all into the different places. I'm sure you could hide it.
Yeah.
What a fucking. I mean, if you're, who's not been caught though? That's the thing. El Chapo.
No, El Chapo's been caught. What was the dude who jumped out of the plane? DB Cooper.
Oh,
he was never caught, and he stole.
Yeah, but they don't even know who that dude is.
I mean, they've got a drawing. That's it, though.
That's it. They'd know maybe his name was DB Cooper.
I gotta admit, though, the whole DB Cooper story is probably one of the most badass. Like, I'm still surprised. Like, have they ever made that into a movie?
Well, it's if he ever lived. It's only badass if we find out.
It was in Without a Paddle.
Yeah,
that was
that's the only thing I ever.
That was the whole thing with the only reason I know about DB Cooper was because of Without a Paddle.
Yeah.
But his story is pretty insane. Like. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody else robbing some place and then hijacking a plane only to hijack another plane and then jump out of it with all of your possessions.
Well, we don't know if he lived.
We do not know.
And he probably maybe died. So.
Well, he had a parachute.
Yeah, but he jumped out of like a multiple 100-mile-per-hour moving plane, and it's like really, really, really high up in the air.
I don't know what kind of plane he jumped out of. I don't know what kind of second. I don't know what the second plane was. So.
Well, I mean, cruising altitude's 30,000 feet. That's pretty fucking high up in the air.
Well, I'm sure he was probably like, "Yo, I'm about to fucking jump out of this plane. You better fucking get us to the right altitude, or I'll shoot you. You all die, and I'll just jump out and survive anyways."
Oh man. Well, it's a thought to behold. It was what it is.
So down to the conspiracy of it all.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck.
Let's get into it. Why are we talking? Why are we talking about John Dillinger
God damn,
and Melvin Purvis?
There is a theory that I think has been around for a while now, but seems like it's been coming up a little more recently. There are a lot of people, including family members, that believe that John Dillinger was not killed that day.
All right, what's the deal?
And they think it was a case of mistaken identity. They got someone else killed. So,
how old would he be then if he was alive today? Well, he couldn't
I mean,
he literally
100 and
couldn't be
something.
alive. So they think so obviously he's dead.
Yeah.
But he didn't die when he got shot. Is what they're
that's
thinking.
the idea, yeah. I want to see how old he was at the time of death, because I don't know. I think he was like early 30s maybe late 20s.
Now, are they saying that he never got shot outside the movie theater, or that when he did get shot, it wasn't really him?
He was 31.
I'm assuming what they're saying is
there was never anyone
when
shot.
she sold him out, she probably told him, and they got a body double, someone who looked really close to him, because they've got the money, which means they could definitely find somebody.
Well, the FBI would have to be in on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For that to work, because they're the one who shot him.
Yeah. What do you mean the FBI would have to be in on it?
Well, they'd have to be in on it. They would know it was not him, right? I mean...
Not back then. The 1920s, the FBI was nowhere near what they are today. Nowhere near.
What's your conspiracy theory?
The gist of it is that they thought it was him. People think it was not him.
Gotcha.
So they think that basically what happened was that the FBI shot this guy thinking it was him, realized it wasn't, but played it off like it was him, so they could be like, yeah, we finally got him. We did our job.
Yeah.
I could get not seeing... You got the dead dude on your fucking table. It's either him or it's not him. You're gonna know. Like,
well, and it's not like they're gonna want to admit that they shot the wrong fucking person.
That path makes sense. They were in on it probably after the fact. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
fuck. Yeah,
so we just shot a completely innocent dude.
We just fucked up. We shot the wrong guy.
So obviously at this point they were super desperate to catch him. So that's one of the reasons why people think that they would have either, covered that up for one thing, saying that they killed Dillinger, because I mean, really, he was making them look like a bunch of fucking children.
Oh, he was chasing their tails, dude.
Yeah.
My question to that is if that wasn't him, then why did we never hear of him again?
He got a clean cut out of the life.
You think he got out after he heard what happened?
Well, I think he got... Right?
Hell no.
Being chased heavy by the
What do you
federal
mean,
government.
hell no?
What? Dude, he's been doing it for years.
He doesn't have a crew anymore.
That's
all of his buddies are
nonsensical.
dead at this point.
Everyone's sold
really?
out. Everyone's dead.
His crew got taken out.
Okay, I didn't know that. Then yeah, at that point,
He was
if
a
I didn't,
smart dude.
if I didn't have anybody, yeah, I would have gotten out.
See-
I wasn't under the impression that he had lost pretty much everything at that point.
it was.
He's
Okay,
a smart guy.
Smart move then.
And so, clearly he's a smart guy. So he's not doing it for any pathological reason. He's not like, well, I need to go rob a bank because
Sounds
I'm
like
a fucking nymphomaniac where I need to go steal some shit.
He sounds like a Robin Hood.
Well, you would have enjoyed him back in the 20s and 30s.
I would have.
But yeah, no, he seems like a smart guy. So if he got the chance to make a clean break with everyone thinking he's dead, he was probably right out of there.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go to the Bahamas forever?
Dillinger, what kind of last name is that? Where do you think that harks from?
Dillinger.
Chicago.
Yeah. Dillinger.
What's the Dillinger gun? What's that? Is that named after him for a specific reason?
Oh, you thinking of Derringer?
Yes, I am.
The little Lincoln
come
gun?
on. Why is it even called Derringer? It should be called the Booth.
I don't know. It redesigned and came out with the Booth edition.
When are they going to put the black lady on the $10 bill? That thought just popped into my head.
Wait, Harriet Tubman?
You remember, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago? They were
yeah.
talking about putting putting Harriet Tubman on the $10 bill.
Dude, I don't know.
What happened?
I
to
honestly
that?
don't think I've even heard about
Who's
that.
on the $10 bill?
Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
I can't believe Who cares about that guy?
I think Harriet Tubman would be more badass, to be honest.
Dude, let's put fucking Buzz Aldrin on the $100 bill.
Oh my god, yeah.
Let's get Benjamin Franklin, that weirdo prostitute-loving dude. Let's get him out of here.
Did you guys ever hear about the stories about how he would stand in front of his window at like early morning,
Benjamin
completely
Franklin?
naked? Yeah, completely naked, and just let the entire everyone walking by could just see his cock.
Dude, he liked
Very French thing to do. He's a very big proprietor of the French culture.
He liked to let his nuts hang, man.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Okay, so we got Buzz Aldrin on the $100. Who would you put on the $50? Either one of you, real quick.
The $50?
Yeah. He's half as good as the hundo.
Elon Musk.
Okay, Elon Musk goes to the 100. We put Buzz Aldrin on the 50. Can you guys?
That's fair.
You think so?
Yeah.
We're talking about Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, but that's 60 years ago.
Who cares? It doesn't make it any less significant.
Yeah,
That-
fucking George
that fucker was on
Washington's
the
over
moon.
100 years ago.
Okay. Then if
Yeah,
we're
and he's
doing
on the
that,
$1 bill.
If we're
He fucking-
exactly. So, okay, if we're doing like American heroes, then we just need to get Elon Musk out because he hasn't.
Yeah,
he's not in the
more
history
for
book
humanity, not just the United
yet.
States.
So we have Buzz Aldrin on the $100 bill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, hold
we,
on.
We need
Why
to get in.
if we want to put anybody, it's got to be Neil Armstrong.
Oh, Neil Armstrong. Sure, whatever. He was the first
man on the moon.
Okay, so Neil Armstrong, $100 bill, $50 bill. Another person. I mean, you can stretch all the way back to
Another
1762.
American
This is what I think we should do.
Paul
We-
Revere
we
should go on the $1 bill, dude.
Ooh,
Dude, I'm
I
up
like
for
that.
I think we should just take the $100
Or on a
bill
coin.
and we could just like the backside of it can be like an artwork of like all the astronauts from the Apollo missions.
Hell yeah.
There's that one.
Usually it's a building of Congress, but you know.
We'll do a cool.
We're doing
artwork.
something. We're putting astronauts on
Yeah.
paper money. $50 bill is going to have to be. I think Abraham Lincoln should get a pay raise, so I think maybe he should be moved to the 50 and get some slick ass artwork.
I'm cool with that.
Move him to the 50. We got Andrew Jackson, the craziest fucking president of all time on the most used currency.
I know who I want. I just can't remember his name. Won't you be my neighbor?
Mr.
Oh,
Rogers?
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers gets the $20 bill.
All right, then we're putting Bob Ross on the back of it.
Oh yeah, I'm down with
On the
that.
$5 bill, I want Mike Tyson.
Okay, $5 bills, Mike Tyson, alien Lincoln,
Can we
Abraham
put-
Lincoln.
Can we just put a picture of him in the ring, just clocking someone
Yeah.
on the back of the 5?
Yeah.
Well, the back of it would preferably be the square circle itself, just
Yeah,
fucking
or
some
it could just
people
be
up.
a big
Yeah.
picture of a bloody ear.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's where the pip is placed for the dollar amount. It's just on top of
ear.
a disheveled
All
bloody
right, let's
ear.
not forget about the $2 bill. Who's going on the $2 bill?
Well, who's the gayest person in society?
Oh, Milo Yiannopoulos.
All right, we're putting Milo.
He's a very gay man.
We're putting Milo Yiannopoulos on
He
the
is
$2
very
bill.
he is very
Trying to think of
outwardly gay.
I was gonna say this other guy, but I wouldn't want him represented on U.S. currency. The YouTuber,
James Charles. He's
Oh,
being. I'm
yeah.
putting his ass on the penny.
Yeah, he gets the
Well,
penny.
and on the back, instead of being a pluribus unum, it's "What's up, sisters?"
Yeah.
Oh shit.
do we have any other bills to cover?
We got the $1 bill.
We got $1
Unless we want to
still?
dethrone George.
Nah, he can stay.
I think
Yeah, he
George
can
stays
stay.
on the dollar.
And of
The back
course,
of it should be
Harry-
him riding along that straight though, with his big ass uniform and the American flag in his hand. That should be the back of the $1
Wait,
bill.
did we decide where? Did we say Paul Revere was going $1 bill?
I said 5.
Oh, 5. Okay.
Wait, no, I may have
I'll-
said 1. Let's put him on the quarter.
No, let's go ahead and put Paul on the 5, and Mike Tyson can get the quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so
we
just
we're
removed.
keeping Harriet Tubman as the $10 bill, right?
Okay, since Abe Lincoln's getting a $50 bill, we're taking him off the penny, putting George Washington on the penny. So he's
Okay.
So he's still remaining that one moniker. Now, who's getting the 25-cent piece? Wait, we're putting Paul Revere on the quarter. So who's getting the 50-cent piece?
Oh, the $half?
Who's getting the $half?
Well, we got to take
It's a
George
lady-
Washington off the quarter.
We already did that because Paul Revere's getting the quarter.
Okay.
Mike Tyson's getting the 5 center, I think, or something like
Nickel?
that. The nickel, or who knows? We're getting $half.
Half
We're not going to
dollar.
try to reiterate what we said because I can't remember it.
Who's
We need to put a big lady on there.
JFK's on there right now, right?
It is the JFK,
Yeah, it's JFK.
$half.
I don't know. I feel like that's a good one.
YFK? You want to keep him on there?
JFK?
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's
I'm down.
badass.
I keep JFK.
American hero.
What was the caliber bullet that shot JFK?
Some fucking French caliber, I think.
Oh, so it's
Just
probably like
just make
fucking
something up. Just make something up.
221 millimeter.
There we go.
Okay, then we're gonna make a $221 size and put him on the face of it.
221 millimeters is fucking huge.
Yeah, I just want him to be on the dollar amount of caliber that excavated his brain from his body.
What rifle killed? I was gonna search what
I
rifle
think it's a
killed
Carcano.
JFK, and it was what rifle killed Harambe.
That was Zoo was really packing some heat on that
big.
day.
Well, you got to kill a fucking gorilla. You do realize that you can't just fucking shoot a gorilla, right? Gorillas are way more badass than humans.
No, I mean, if you shoot it, you can just shoot a gorilla. If you just shoot anything in the head.
I don't know.
Look, the point is, we fucking killed him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we killed him.
Congratulations, Preston. You were correct. It was a 6.5 millimeter Carcano.
I knew it was the car. I watched that 11/20/263 with James Franco. I knew it was the Carcano.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So was it 620?
6.5 millimeter.
Okay, 6.5 millimeter. We means we make a $6.50 bill and we stick his face on it. Dude, the currency, inflation, everything would be fucked if we were the currency department.
Dude, we need bigger bills. Who uses pennies? Who the fuck still uses pennies?
Okay, we need to get. If we're getting rid of change, we're keeping quarters only.
Quarters and half dollars.
No, we don't need half dollars.
Why?
No one uses them ever.
There's
I
hardly.
collect them.
No, okay.
Well, you're
But
not
do you use
using
them?
them.
Fuck no.
Exactly.
Because
I
you
collect
collect them. Well, you'll still have some to collect when we're done circulating them. They'll be more valuable. That's how we do it. We need to spend the next 10 years collecting 50-cent pieces. Then when we infiltrate the U.S. government and get into the currency exchange system, we get rid of the 50-cent piece and then sell all of ours at a surplus price. Oh, here she comes. It's payday, baby. Give me my money.
The wolf of the government.
The wolf of the government, where we just create it's like, okay, any bill that isn't older than 2003, we're not using it anymore. Burn it. Well,
So, anyways, let's get back on track.
Yeah. Let me figure out where it was
it's
at.
up in the air, baby. Come on.
Um.
That's why you came.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So these ideas have been gaining a lot more traction lately because two descendants of John Dillinger have stepped forward saying that they do not believe it is actually him, and the family has filed some paperwork to have his body exhumed so they can run DNA tests.
Which
Yeah.
family?
Yeah, because if
John
he,
Dillinger's family.
yeah, hold on though.
On
He
his
died
side?
in 1935, right?
He wasn't married.
Right. That's why I was
When
wondering,
did
was his little
He
girlfriend?
died in 1935, right?
34.
34. Okay. So these people that are questioning it now are at least 2 to 3 generations away from his actual bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
So
Still family though; they have the right to do it.
yeah. That's just
I think
I
it'd be
don't
dope.
understand what their issue is.
Are they
Like,
gonna-
They really just got this idea in their head that he didn't die.
It's probably been carried on through the generations, and they're just the ones who are finally deciding to do something about it.
Do they want to exhume his grave?
Mm-hmm.
Now, just a quandary here. Now, I'm no man of hard medical science, but I have to assume that a body that was buried,
Teeth
yeah,
Teeth and
almost,
bones.
well, it'd be almost 90,
or
almost
hair.
90
There's
to
gonna be hair in
100
there
years
probably.
ago. You would have to know if you can test it against something that's pre-existing, because you could still get his DNA and whatnot. But how the hell are you gonna actually? Because you're not gonna be able to look at him and tell. Probably.
No.
You know, maybe
Yeah.
if he has one of his possessions in the casket, that would
Mm-hmm.
sell it for him. Because unless they have a DNA, this was the 20s, so they didn't have DNA back then. So there's no way they probably took something and were like, "This is what we have."
Well, they still
Yeah.
grabbed evidence. So any weapons of his with fingerprints,
100
leave
100
DNA.
years of evidence room lockup and evidence movings.
That's if they didn't get rid of it.
right. So I hope we figure out the truth. But man, it's gonna be a rocky
It's-
road
yeah,
for these guys.
I was gonna say it sounds like it's gonna be a pretty long and difficult process to figure out.
Because I'm assuming they've got some John Dillinger stuff in museums and whatnot.
Mhm.
That
I guess
that might
technically-
have remnants of his DNA in it.
I guess technically they could run a test on the descendants' DNA, but it, like I said,
they could.
But
Yeah.
like I said, it's like you're 3 generations in.
They
which
would know
means-
though.
Which means, okay, so you got to think about it like this. So one generation you half the DNA, the next generation you half it, so it's at a quarter, and then the third. So,
Well,
in order to get a match, it would have to be
Well-
a match of at least 1/8 of their DNA at most.
this would be like a brother. Like this would either be like one of his brother's kids, or it'd be like a brother. Well, no, it would have to be like because he didn't get married, so unless he had a baby mama, and that's where all these people are coming from.
And if it's a
I
brother's,
think it said
if
it
it's
was.
a,
I
if
think
it's-
it was said one of the people that were doing this would have been like a nephew of some sort.
Makes sense.
Okay,
so yeah.
that makes it even more hard to use his DNA because the chances of John Dillinger and his brother sharing like even 50% of the same DNA is like an outrageous amount.
If there's a commonality, they'll find it. And there's not going to be really, if it's a complete random person that's there, that like John Dillinger was like, hey dude, you want to go to the movies tonight with this crowd of people? I got these tickets here, man, take them. If it's like a random dude,
yeah, here, take
then there's not going to be...
take my girl with you too.
Right. If there's not going to be any... Like, if it's just a random dude, there's not going to be any DNA commonalities.
Yeah.
So if it is a relative of theirs, then even that... I would say it's probably going to be a substantial spike. Piece of anecdotal evidence for ya is fucking... My aunt just recently found out she had a brother she never knew about through 23andMe.
What?
Yeah. And so...
See, that's why I don't want to do that.
So...
I just don't want to know...
Isn't that crazy?
What my grandparents and parents and... Yeah, I'm good.
Because you don't know, like, when a relationship breaks up, what the other guy does, what the woman does, and where they go with it, and...
Yeah.
So, here's a brother you never knew about.
Right.
Isn't that crazy to learn that from a fucking
good
spit send-in website?
So, apparently, DNA testing was in its early stages around the 30s, but it wasn't
really
strongly used up until the 80s, at least in criminal cases.
Huh.
Yeah, OJ.
Yeah.
It was like the real first DNA evidence trial.
And it failed.
Well, the first big one.
And it failed.
Mm-hmm. My grandpa was talking to me about this TV he's got up there, and he says it's the same one they used on the OJ trial. Literally, he said that.
How does he know?
He just recognizes the TV
it's
from
the same brand,
or
it is
brand.
the
It is
TV.
the same TV. It's not the TV,
Okay.
but it is the same. I'm a little piece of nuggetry information for you.
Oh yeah. So there were some stuff brought up.
Hey, we brought it up.
I don't know exactly how these conclusions were drawn or whatever. I didn't see it, but
Yeah.
Apparently the body that was recovered at the time said there were a lot of things that were different, such as the eye color was not the same, his teeth were completely different, the shape of his head and his ears were different, and apparently fingerprints that were previously on file from Don Dillinger were not the same as the one they took at the time of his death.
All right. Well, come on. You ain't gotta be a fucking rocket scientist to understand this dude probably was not him.
Yeah. Obviously, recently the FBI field office in Chicago has issued statements saying that they swear it's the real thing. It happened.
We also swear Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
They said they have 3 sets of fingerprints that are matches to Dillinger. So whatever, they're saying it's not true. Obviously. So then, this is also where Melvin Purvis comes into the whole thing. I think it was 20 to 30 years after his crew killed Dillinger, he committed suicide. And people think that it was possibly due to him kind of not being able to deal with the guilt of killing an innocent man and covering it up. There's that, but they also think that it came... So apparently the director of the FBI at the time, J. Edgar Hoover, was very manipulative, and he was an asshole from what it sounds like. But
good president material.
But he knew his shit. So he thinks that that guy had something to do with putting pressure on Melvin Purvis, probably not to say shit about it, all kinds of stuff. People think that's a factor in it. And apparently, recently, Melvin Purvis' son came forward making statements that he thinks that J. Edgar Hoover had a lot to do with his father's suicide.
Wouldn't those documents have already been released to the public?
Who knows?
Because I want to say it's they wait 20 years to release documents?
I was literally just watching something on this, on how they can keep redoing the confidentiality.
Oh, I know that the president can be like, nope, I don't want this to go out yet, because the 9/11 papers were supposed to come out and Trump denied the publicity of those.
Yeah, so if they don't want to put them out, then they ain't going to be out.
That's
Especially
saying
if
something.
it's showing them making a mistake.
That's fucking saying something if Trump doesn't want that shit to get out.
Yeah. But I mean, it's even possible at the time that when this happened, they were just they could have just been get rid of everything. All the paperwork, anything that could connect us to this, just get rid of it.
That's true.
Because
I didn't think about that.
They wouldn't want that to get out. If they're a brand new extension of law enforcement in the government, they wouldn't want that shit getting out that they fucked up massively.
And there's no digital copy of anything.
Yeah.
There's no, at this time, whether or not the government's ahead of us on technology, that shit was not around in the 20s and 30s. So.
Capacitors didn't show up till the 50s.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
ain't no one with computers.
So yeah, that's basically the whole current conspiracy surrounding Dillinger, that they think it's not him.
That was a good ball of yarn you just spun for us.
A little fun thing. Well, I believe you have some things.
Okay, what the fuck? So, last week we talked about 5G, as you guys may remember, and
Woot woot.
5G is slowly making its way into the marketplace, but there's something that is way, way more exciting, should be more exciting to the peoples who are interested. Wi-Fi 6. Ooh, shit, that's right, Wi-Fi 6.
I didn't know there were 5 previous versions of Wi-Fi.
And that's what a lot of people are saying. So there's this. They're called the Wi-Fi. There's two, like really two main sectors that are controlling all of this stuff. One's called the Wi-Fi Alliance,
Okay.
and the other one is called the IEEE. And if I really quickly, I didn't write it down. Should probably know this since I have a certification from the IEEE. Yeah, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. These are the people who come up with all of the new iterations of Wi-Fi. They basically are like the world's largest group of technological professionals coming up with all this new technology for us. So these IEEE guys, they put out this thing that's called Wi-Fi 6, which really in the book of IEEE is what would be referred to as 802.11ax. Wi-Fi 5 was 802.11ac, and then Wi-Fi 4 is 802.11ab, and then A, and then so forth. Now, industry leaders Qualcomm have just released some very exciting new technology as of this Tuesday that are going to be making these Wi-Fi 6 processors available in a lot of home devices. So there's already a really big industrial equipment that you can get for jobs and like data management centers and stuff like that run this Wi-Fi 6 standard. And the big key of this Wi-Fi 6 is like you are keeping and extending the range that you'll get with Wi-Fi 5, and you're also increasing the bandwidth by 30% and like the possible speed per device by 30%.
Okay.
So we talked about 5G, I think, was getting like people of max up to like 2.3 gigabytes per second wirelessly with a 5G chip. You get this Wi-Fi 6 chip in your phone, which all phones are going to be coming with it. The next generation of phones, Samsung S10 has it. They've also got the 5G chip. But basically all the other phones are going to be supporting the Wi-Fi 6, which will also allow you to use Wi-Fi 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and all that. Mm-hmm. And you will be able to get, with the new ISP, your internet service provider upgrades that will inevitably be coming with this new standard upgrade, up to 10 gigabytes per second wirelessly.
Damn.
10 gigabytes a second.
Say that again.
I said 10 gigabytes a second. That's 10,000 megabytes.
No, sir. That's the devil at work.
It's actually a lot more than 10,000 megabytes, but yeah, it's 10 gigabytes.
It'd be what, like more like 12,000 megabytes?
It'd be like 1224 or something like that. Yeah.
That's fucking insane. That's like
that would be per device.
Now we're starting. Now we're starting to reach the like where actual cords used to be. Like Wi-Fi has been pretty set back for a while.
We're at it. We are now at where like fiber's at, wirelessly speaking.
Really?
Yeah. You're not really going to be doing 100.
I thought fiber could do at
it's
like
theoretic
at most a terabyte a second.
Yeah, its theoretic echelon of carry is like a terabyte a second.
Yeah.
But no one's getting a terabyte line drop to their house.
NASA
is using fucking satellite and crazy shit like that, but because they don't care how quick the information gets there, they just want the reliability that it is getting there.
Yeah.
But there's a couple new technology and upgrades that we're getting with this. So Wi-Fi 6 biggest advancement is what's called OFDMA, which stands for Orthogonal Frequency Division Multiple Access.
Orthogonal?
Would that be?
What does it have? 8 different frequencies that it runs on?
It runs on quite a few different frequencies. Yes, that's where you get the orthogonal, and you get the multiple access part. So the best like analogy for this is instead of everyone in your town having to go pick up their mail, you're now getting a personal delivery driver to come bring you your mail one at a time. And so it can like, imagine you've got 10 devices on the house, and for whatever fucking reason, should never happen, but for whatever reason, everyone is trying to download something at the same exact time. Well, what the router is going to do, it's going to switch between those 8 channels. Like imagine rolling your fingers over the keys of a keyboard where it's like and it's going to go all the way through those frequencies, and it's going to send out little bytes of information. But it's doing it so quick with so much information that you just feel like you have a steady current stream of information coming to you.
So they basically just turned all of their Wi-Fi into Tesla's idea of alternating current, but over Wi-Fi.
It's like that. So we read down here a little bit. We also have another thing called MIMO, which stands for short for multiple user, multiple input, multiple output, which sort of reiterates the idea of it's serving multiple clients at the same time instead of prioritizing one client and then giving slower speeds to everyone else. You're all getting the same amount of speeds because you're technically all on the same network for the same amount of time.
Okay.
When you're trying to like receive the information. The big part of this is what's called 1024 QAM, which is quadrature amplitude modulation. Yeah, big words. I read up on this. So as of right now, you're sending data so when you're thinking data being sent, data being translated, you're thinking of binary. 0 and 1. Same is set for wavelengths when we send shit over like wireless, where it's either going to be at 1 amp of power or 0.0 amps of power. But now it can run at 1.1 amps of power, 0.1 amps of power, 1.0 amps of power, and 0.1 amps of power. So it can run in 4 different states now, which is where we get all this. I can divide up my frequency strength into all these different devices, and I can send all this information out at the same exact time, at the same exact speed, in real time. No simulation happening.
Damn.
Fast. Fast.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Fast fucking speeds, dude. So it's basically guaranteed 30% over the highest you can possibly get with an ISP right now. So you can get like 930 to 1,000 megabytes a second with copper or fiber right now. And so the initial testing has been pretty short because it's a lot of consumers doing this testing right now. So they're saying per device, over like 8 devices, 1.3 gigabytes per second on a capable device.
Okay.
With activity on the network. So that would be like a slow day.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So no more waiting around for the Wi-Fi to get clear because your brother's in the room over looking at his boobies.com account. But saying here, so the tests were at 1,320 megabytes a second, which is about 1,000 times faster than the current average download speed in the US, which is 119 megabytes per second.
That's the average?
Yeah, that's the average.
Holy shit. That's a pretty shitty average.
I mean, I can only assume the reason the average gets skewed lower is because there's a lot of individuals and like duets that own Wi-Fi that don't need quick internet. 119 megabytes a second for a download speed though
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, think about it. Your computer's running wireless.
Download. That's not an upload.
Yeah. Your computer's running wireless. Do you do speed tests often to see what
Yes.
you're getting? What do you usually get for like an upload?
On average for uploading.
Or download it rather.
Downloading, I get about 250 to 300 megs a second.
Do you really?
Huh,
From
what?
Comcast on copper?
Xfinity on on
Comcast.
copper. But that's like not actually downloading something. If I'm downloading a game, I'll average about around 20 to 30 megs a second while I'm actually downloading something.
Well,
now, when I run speed tests, though,
Every
that's
time you do
different.
a speed test, you're downloading something.
Okay, well, then
But it's not why you experience very slower download speeds than you ever do, and when you're doing a speed test for your computer, is because your hard drive in your computer or your SSD in your computer can't extrapolate the data that it's being sent over the internet quick enough to write it onto your computer.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Which is why when you go to like download something, you get like 20 megabytes a second in Steam or something like that.
But I'll average upload of like 25 to 30 megs.
That's capped. That's almost hard capped because that's what mine is, and I get 400 download.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they keep it there for a reason. I'm not sure what the reason is because I've not been in the business of like setting up that sort of like actually knowing why it's capped at that. But like we were talking last week, you're getting 2.3 gigs a second, but you're also only getting 30 megabytes a second upload.
Yeah.
So it's really fucking weird. What's up?
Not that there's a surprise at the end. I just
Oh yeah.
I just did a little.
So, as I was saying, only some devices have the capability as of right now, but more soon to come. The S10's got it. I'm assuming there's some Huawei shit that's come out that's got the little 5G Wi-Fi 6 chips in it. iPhones are scheduled to come out with it. MacBooks are scheduled to come out with it. The important thing to realize is since this is a consumer device, lots of people are thinking, well, I'm going to go out and get the new Wi-Fi 6 Netgear router, and it's going to fix all my Wi-Fi problems. I'm going to have 10 gigabyte speed, which is the big misdirection that they put on the box, Yeah. 10 gigabyte speed, wireless, Don't fucking go out there and get this before your ISP puts a pamphlet on your doorstep saying, we're offering 10 gigabyte a second speed.
Yeah.
Because then you're buying something that is shiny and new and is maybe got some cool management features on it, but you're not buying it for a good reason.
There's no household need for that much. I can't even,
You would be very surprised. Like, my uncle and his fiance live up in Chicago, right? And they've got, 6 kids there. And 2 of them, a TV in every room that's connected to the Wi-Fi, a tablet that's all connected to the Wi-Fi. There are families that really would, be able to use
That's
something.
True.
There's a lot of scenarios.
I'm not.
In
I'm
the
just saying
grand scheme of-
the average consumer does not need that much.
The numbers would suggest that they do.
Really?
Yeah. The people who are going out and buying all this new networking hardware are basically being sold it for the first thing, but they're going because they need it. They're having bad speeds at home because the current generation is giving priority to certain devices, slowing everything down. When this does become available and I can get a 10 gigabyte a second ISP line dropped, I'm going to fucking do it. Because, if there's someone here, if you're here and I'm doing something on my computer, it's automatically slower for you. And that's kind of fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I'm
it's
getting...
understandable.
But it shouldn't have to be that way. I mean, I'm in the networking field. I personally think that's a very shabby way of splitting up bandwidth. It's being okay, you were here first, bitch. You you get it all,
Yeah.
It should be smarter than that. I think it is a necessary fix. Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, the last point I was going to make is the more schmoola time, baby. As I said at the end of 5G last week, it's going to cost a little bit of money to shell out for a new router, thinking $300-400 maybe for a real capable one. Also factor in the cost of a phone for it, and then you have to factor in the cost that you're upping your ISP line. But good thing is that all these new routers with the Wi-Fi 6 enabled, they're way lower power, so they don't quite run up the energy bill like the other standards did.
Absolutely good.
You cropping that picture in?
Maybe.
There it is.
Right there at the end there, yep.
Mm-hmm. More schmoola, baby.
And that's your face as you say it. Explaining to all the dumbos out there.
Explaining to all them dumbos, dude. Now, as a just a invented segment I just did, I'm going to go to the hottest item, or the most controversial item on Reddit right now and read it.
I don't want to get into that one. Fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that one. First one right
off
the bat,
I wasn't going to say we have to discuss it, but let me just read what the most controversial thing on Reddit is.
Wait, how is it the most? It has no upvotes.
It's got 224 comments, though.
No, okay.
All right, here, we'll do this one. I like the first one. Conservatives are pro-life until the kid's born. Then they don't give a shit what happens.
Well, folks, we'll leave you with that for food for thought.
That's sort of the dwindling thought of the night.
More schmoola.
More schmoola, baby.
More schmoola. Are we wrapping it up here?
I think so. I exhausted my talking points.
That was a interesting little conversation.
A little different.
It was good.
A little different.
Enjoyable. You will realize something about this podcast. This is going to be the first of 2 that are going to be coming out this week. You can expect to see the next one out on Wednesday. And as usual, this is Preston.
This is Hunter.
This is Ethan.
And this has been another episode of Up in the Air, an American podcast.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Bye.